Well, for those of you who heard my little alarm, that was the signal that it's 6:30. And so we're gonna get started on the Wednesday, November 1st District Advisory Board meeting. And we are going to start by doing introductions. We're gonna start by doing the introductions right after I call to order. So I'm calling to order. And because we have some new DAB members, I'd love to go around and do introduction. And Rich, I'm gonna start with you since you're on Zoom and let you introduce yourself and tell what neighborhood you're associated with, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, Richard Ruth. I'm live in Grandview Heights, which is over by Clapp Park.
Thank you. Jesse?
Yeah, I'm Jessie Wigdahl and I live in Schweider.
Jerry? Thank you for turning your thing around so I can see it. That's so awesome of you.
I'm Jerry McGrew. I live at Hilltop Manor, across from Clapp Park as well. The other side.
Debbie?
I'm Debbie Pryor and I live in Grandview Heights.
And I am Cindy Miles, and I don't have a neighborhood association, but I live south off of 60th and South Hydraulic, so.
It's like South area, I think. And it's not
Outside of South
Is she
area.
outside of South? Okay. All right.
South area is an official neighborhood association, but you're not in their boundaries. You're just up.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
But they haven't been active in quite a while.
I'm all by myself, just like I've been all my life, I know, so.
Hi, I'm Amaya Williams and I live in the Mead neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Geneva Chambers and I'm in the Mead neighborhood.
I'm Kathleen Ketzinger and I live in Hilltop.
I'm Michael Loop. I live in Meadowlark and we're associated with Grand.
Thank you, and welcome to all the new members. We are thrilled to have you on the DAB. So with that, we'll move forward with the approval of the agenda for November 1st, 2023.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion by Michael Loop and a second by Jesse. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Next, we'll ask for approval of the minutes for October 4th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Michael Loop and a second by Jesse. Can I ask a question? Do the new members have to abstain from voting on the minutes? Okay, that's what I assumed. I just want to make sure. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So motion carries with 3 abstentions. Okay, and then we will move on to staff reports, and first up, we have Which Is on Fire. Tell us what's going on. If you want to step up here to that mic, they can probably hear you a little bit better online. Thank you.
Oh, the audio issue is solved from last month.
Oh, good.
We are good.
Just have the FIU reports, its investigation. It's not all encompassing of the fire we had in the district, but
We can't hear you very well. Can you speak up a little? Sorry.
voice can hear it very well. Our investigation unit investigated 10 fires. It's not only encompassing of all the fires in there that was throughout town, but we're in District 3. We had 10 investigated fires. Numerous of them are undetermined at this time. We were able to save one individual that found unresponsive in the fire structure and bring them back on the line. Like I said, most of these are still under investigation. Some of them are considered arson type fires. So, just kind of a reminder to everybody in the district: if you have property that's unsecured, you're boarded up, really pay attention to it this time of year. A lot of the fires will come about because of people getting inside, sort of the fires, trying to stay warm with people inside. Typically, put on here us, it was really cool. So. As far as other things, we started a new recruit class. These people have gone through a couple months of training and it's full prior on the 1st of January. We'll have 13, 14 members field staff. We just completed, Wichita Hot in the month of October. 250 plus individuals came around from all over the state and the nation with it. To be a part of the 2-day training. So, that's about it. Do you have any questions?
Right, questions from the dad?
Thank you.
Okay,
I have a
wait, don't
question.
leave, don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. One is, you mentioned the issue with people getting inside buildings that are vacated and starting fires. What can somebody do? What do you recommend if there's somebody that you discover is breaking into a boarded up building and contact WPD?
Yeah, I mean, if there's people that aren't supposed to be there. I mean, it's not uncommon for, we have structures that have been vacant, the property owners aren't managing it well.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be upwards of 10 people in some of these small houses. I mean, they built their own, like, walk-off rooms for themselves, where they can lock themselves in. We had a fire up on North Market last year where the individual may have had a chance of survival, but the house was boarded up and he boarded himself in to keep the other people out.
Yeah.
And well, he lost his life because he secured the place too much. So, but if you come across something like that, I would suggest report it to WPD. See if they can get hold of property owners to do something about securing the building and the structure.
The other question I'd like to ask of you, is it a requirement by every commercial building to have a fire alarm system?
An actual, they have to have an alerting system or being tied to a lot of management company. I don't think they have to do that.
Okay,
I'd have to make an opinion on that. but-
okay. I'm just trying to find out. I was having a conversation with the ADT guy today that was was in looking at the alarm, and that's what he was
They
trying
don't
to
have
tell
to
me.
be some type of fire, they need the people that are in the building.
Sure,
As far as Burton, it's
the fire
different
department.
location, and then they alert us. I do not think that's good.
Okay,
And
yes,
being
Mr.
in the restaurant business, the questions for both, most of the time it's insurance decides on what you get in the way of protection if you're in the businesses, you got open flames and stuff like that. More, I'm sure the fire department will help you, but your insurance is gonna say, do it, or we're gonna raise the rates.
Yeah, I think this guy was trying to tell someone.
Oh, okay.
I think he was not telling the truth. Okay, so, sorry. Kathleen?
I wanted to ask you, if you catch somebody setting fires out in yards, what do you do? Who do you call?
Depends on what type of deal, they can't burn trash and a bunch of wood
They
products.
set it out in the middle of the yard and start a fire in with logs.
I mean, anything that's considered a nuisance, we can shut down. If they have any type of ceremonial stuff or they're cooking, we can't touch them on stuff like that, but if they're burning copper wire or something and try to pawn it off or something like that, we can still get them shut down. If someone calls it in, I consider it a nuisance. Because they have smoke migrating into their yard or doing something like that.
Or they do it like 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning.
What's that?
They do it like 5 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, they shouldn't be doing it. Whatever they're up to, they're no good on it doing. So,
Well, one time, last March, they set the trash bin on fire behind Denny's.
yeah, they.
Now they're in the yard.
Okay, questions from the audience? Yes.
You mentioned you got a new class, bunch of new recruits. How many is in this class?
Last I knew 14.
How many?
14, we've had a few drop out, so I'm not quite certain on that number, but I think we're still sitting at 14 or 13. So that's a pretty lengthy training process. We want them to come out prepared, so.
I have a question for you. Well, actually, I have two questions. One is, restricted to some certain times during the day to have a fire outside, or can they do it at any time? No, that's the first question. The other question that I have is because I'm going to be talking about trees. I want to know how many fires start in this area by lighting trees. Do you have any idea?
We have lightning strikes every now and then, but it seems like our biggest problem with lightning strikes is transformers and stuff like that will get affected and they'll blow and stuff, that when storm type stuff comes through. Every once in a while, we get house fires and they'll strike trees and stuff like that. What was the first question?
The first question is there is any restrictions for people to do fires during the morning? Because she was asking, at 4 in the morning, somebody was doing a fire, right? So is any particular times that people cannot do fires outside?
I mean, they can, as long as it's not supposed to be over a certain diameter.
No, I'm talking about the time during the day.
Yeah, but they can't be creating any type of smoke that's gonna create a nuisance for the neighbors.
Like somebody is doing a fire at 6 in the morning, is that correct?
There's no restriction on the time.
There is
You
no
just have to be
restriction.
legally burning.
Okay, we will have, you will have to, in case it's necessary, we will have request the restriction, right? That's a regulation.
You would have to work
The
with
proposal
council.
would
with
need
council-
Serco Heights.
Yeah, to have a restriction on
I
how
got it.
people can burn.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Paul?
Response to your question, in 34 years in our business, we had yearly or random inspections by the fire department. You know, there was wiring issues and we have fire extinguishers in every building or whatever. And kind of a site map where all the extinguishers and all the exits were. Never got any grief from my insurance company, nobody ever told me that they had to have alarms. Areas were safe. That wasn't a problem.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate your service. All right, we're gonna go to the top PD.
Hello.
Greetings.
Yes, I'm Officer Jensen. You guys can hear me well?
Yep.
Awesome, perfect. So just a couple of things real quick. Number one is we've continued to work on the Hyundai and Kia thefts. We've actually been working with the businesses here in town. We've been passing out flyers that one of the businesses is going to do an update on vehicles to help it so that they'll install anti-theft stuff that wasn't originally put in. And then we've actually identified the main person of interest, and we're working on just putting all the different cases against him to be able to get him charged. But at this moment in time, he's actually in custody on some unrelated things. And since he's been in custody, the amount of thefts has gone down to basically 0. So we're working with that, keeping moving forward. Obviously, we just finished up trunk or treats. We were able to go out, interact with the kids, have a good time last night, and this past weekend have various activities. This Saturday, I'd like to just extend an invite to everybody to support Cuffs and Axes. You know, it's a great event. The money's for a good cause, and the fighters, they love people there cheering them on and things like that. And then lastly, just wanted to give a thanks to the community, whether it's the businesses or the citizens. We're able to identify and solve tons of different crimes, specifically the violent crimes, because of the help that we get from the citizens and or the businesses that are in the area that the crime occurs. We're able to get the people identified in custody and continue to have the highest rates around the nation due to you guys and your support and help working with us. So just like to say thank you for that. And that's all I have for tonight.
All right, questions from the DAB.
Officer Jensen, on the Hyundai and Kia thefts, are there particular years and models that are more susceptible to these thefts?
It is 2011 and newer.
Any other questions from the DAB? Okay, questions from the public? Yes.
Do is the fentanyl showing up in pot around Wichita? I keep hearing that they're starting to lace marijuana pot with fentanyl.
So we find that fentanyl, it's being laced into everything. We haven't seen a huge amount of it laced into the marijuana yet. Most of the time it's in the pills and different things like that. But I mean, we have seen it in marijuana, just not a ton of it at this point in time.
Okay.
Any other questions from the public? Okay, thank you so much, Officer Jensen.
Awesome, thank you.
Cindy, I have Patrol East updates.
Okay,
So Patrol East held their 4th annual trunk or treat at Clock Park on the 20th with 1,408 children participating. They assisted a local business in a theft reduction assignment over a 2-day period where 6 people were arrested and $1,500 worth of property was recovered. Patrol East also assisted College Hill with their annual Halloween event where it was estimated 6,000 people attended. There were no major incidents or injuries reported. A reminder that with colder weather being upon us, and it being very convenient to warm your vehicle in the morning, to ensure you are not leaving your vehicles unattended and on. It's fairly common for auto thefts to occur in that situation, so keep your cars locked and hopefully in a garage. Theft in general is also on the rise. They're recommending that you get motion lights and cameras on your residence if at all feasible. And they still have funds left from their annual golf tournaments. They plan to use those on families in need for Christmas and Thanksgiving this year.
very good. Thank you. Any questions from the dad? Or from the? All right. Then we will move on to our favorite librarian, Jamie.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Great. So it's another exciting week at the library. I think tomorrow we're going to have the mayor's briefing at the Advanced Learning Library to launch our bookmobile. I think I've mentioned several times that our transit department received a number of new buses in their fleet, and they gave the library one that was needing to come out of commission for porting residents, but not books. So it's been converted into a bookmobile that we plan to have out and about in the community starting this month. It's got a winter schedule, but ideally you'll see it in parks, at schools. There's a website, a web page that will show you where the bus will be throughout the days. You could check out material. You can return material. There aren't holds for pickup, but you can connect to the Wi-Fi. 15 individuals can connect to the Wi-Fi at any one time. So we hope that people will take advantage of that as well. We're going to take it actually to our Alfred branch on Saturday morning at 10:30. There's the launch of November's Kansas Reads to Preschoolers Month. And this is where all communities throughout the state of Kansas have one picture book that we're all reading together. And this one is, forgive me, it's about joy, honestly. And I love this because our newest pandemic, right, is social isolation. This year's book, it's called My Heart Fills with Happiness by Monique Gray Smith. And it's an incredible reflection about the moments in life that bring us joy. If you're interested in some joy on a Friday night, the Advanced Learning Library is open actually this Friday night, the 3rd, for our first ever. We have an adult spelling bee going on. 35 teams have enrolled at this point and will be competing to be the spelling bee champion of the Wichita Public Library and all of Wichita. Just thinking, we've got a couple of closed days coming up, holiday season. So November 10th and 11th will be closed for Veterans Day holiday, and then also Thursday, Friday of the week of Thanksgiving. I think that's all I've got to share today.
Jamie, thank you so much. Is there any questions from the DAB?
Jamie, could you tell me the time again for that spelling bee on the 3rd?
Oh, I don't think I told you. I apologize. It's Friday night at 6:30.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Let me double check because I'm also thinking of a program I also should have mentioned. The Chester I. Lewis Park just opened this last month, and we have a program. Excuse me. We have a program that's going to kick off November 8th at 6:30. That's going to talk about how art really can portray our past, and we'll be talking a little bit about where Wichita is going related to civil rights. Hold on just a second. I'm so sorry. It's at 7 o'clock. It's from 7 to 9 on the 3rd. Fact check myself. That's important.
Jamie, that when the bookmobile becomes operative, will it have a particular route or where will it go like this?
Right. We had a plan to launch it this summer, but time is what it is, and we got to do a fall launch. So I think right now we're partnering with some of our recreation centers, a couple of daycare centers. I think we're trying to show up in a couple of businesses as well. Right now we're just kind of experimenting with where we're needed. And especially with inclement weather, we're trying to figure out how that's going to look. But you can always go to the Bookmobile webpage at wichitalibrary.org, and we'll have an update of where we're at every time we've got a schedule. But ideally, we'll be scheduled on a routine basis. So we'll be able to see people either biweekly or every 4 weeks.
Okay, we'll need to talk about Urban League.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions from the public? All right, Jamie, keep up the great work. We appreciate everything that you do.
Thanks, Jamie.
Bye, Al.
All right, Wichita Public Works. They're here. They're up.
Yes. All right.
They're ready to go.
Okay, good deal. I am Paul Gunselman, city engineer, and I've got a few projects or updates to provide you tonight. The Dirt Street paving program, we had open bids on that September 22nd, I believe. APAC Construction got that. We will begin paving Funston from Patty to Laura, Patty Skinner to Funston, and Skinner from Patty to Laura. It's estimated to begin construction in mid-November with the completion in January of 2024, provided the weather is favorable. Part of the pavement preservation program, Woodlawn, Lincoln to Orem, those pavement repairs were completed earlier this summer. And the overlay, if they have not started already, is scheduled to begin tomorrow. Crack seal is in progress on Woodlawn compared to Lincoln. And then concrete street repair is in progress on Southeast Boulevard compared to Washington. Some improvements forthcoming at Watson Park. There will be a new playground on the west side of the park that will be replacing the old sand playground. And that is to be completed in the summer of 2024. The Watson Park, the grant to install an accessible boat ramp. They are currently installing the railroad crossing at the north end to accommodate north into the lake to accommodate the boat ramp. And that will be completed by the end of the year. The I-135 sanitary sewer relocation project, we had open bids on that in May of 2023, and it was over the estimate. We have been working with the contractor and design consultant. We have put that back out for advertising and the rebid. We will open bids on that on November 17th. And there's quite a bit of lead time on the equipment or the materials, so that'll be in 2024, but hopefully we'll get favorable bids this time around. We've done some further research and tried to get some information on groundwater levels so they can have a better estimate on how much it takes to pump that out and stuff like that. So hopefully we made some, providing them some more information to get favorable bids. The Patrol East substation, patrol station there at Lincoln and Pinecrest, that construction is well underway. And it is close to being weathered in for winter, so that is progressing well. Mount Vernon, Southeast Boulevard to Oliver, we have the conceptual plans. They have been submitted to us. We will most likely bring that to the District Advisory Board in either December or January to present that. We have been evaluating, or the consultant has been evaluating the existing sidewalk, how much of that we have to replace, and some other things like that. So hopefully we'll have a presentation here in December. If not, then we'll present that in January. The improvements to LW Clapp Park, the bridge replacements have been completed. Design has been completed. We will open bids on that and anticipate construction starting in December of 2023, with construction anticipated to be completed in June of 2024. We're anticipating 100% plans for the playground and dog park to be submitted in December of 2023, mid-December, and begin construction on that in February 2024. Regarding citywide projects, the transit center, the multimodal facility, we did do artist interviews on that project, October 25th. We've got 4 areas within the facility that will have public art incorporated, and we've got 4 artists that we are contract with that. And some upcoming, the city council approved the 2024 Dirt Street program on October 17th. And there are a few more streets located in District 3 on that list that we will begin design on. That is Poplar, Pawnee to the end of the pavement, Clark, Florida, Ida, and 35th Street South, Waco. So we will get a contract or a consultant and the design of those.
Those are the ones closest to the schools.
Yes, those are the ones that are within a block of the schools. We believe citywide that'll take about 4 years to get those completed, and then we'll go to other areas. So, and that's will be the 2024 will be the second year of the program. And that is what I have for you tonight. Are there any questions?
All right, question from the dad.
Yeah, that's a nice synopsis for our district. Could you have that go to Becca and maybe she can include it in distribution to us?
Yes, we will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, questions from the public? All right, seeing
Good.
none, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. We're gonna move on to public agenda items, and number 5, scheduled items. We're gonna have Marco come and talk about a tree planting idea. And Marco, if you'll go up there to the podium, you'll have 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay, starting when I get to the podium. No, I just want to know.
As soon as the first word comes out of your mouth.
So I think starting 2
I
minutes.
can't say anything right now. So I'm going to speak in French first, and that way it doesn't count.
I was just speaking. I
If
don't
you
have to
mind,
understand.
I'm just want to give you here a paper that I wrote. So, in that way you guys have a small idea of what I'm trying to do. With this small project that I wanted to present to you. So I'm sorry I didn't bring enough copies, because I didn't, the other day that I came, it was not enough people here, I'm sorry. Okay, now, The reason why I believe that this project is important is because I even wrote it, as you know, on my publication. Did you read my editorial?
Mostly.
So this is not part of the 10 minutes, okay?
It is. Your
No,
time
this
has
is
started.
about this is in the editorial of this
It's 5
publication.
It's also 5 minutes, not 10.
No, but somebody else give me his time, I think.
No. Okay, you've got 4 minutes and 40 seconds left.
You cannot.
I'm on mute. In the editorial of my publication, that is the bilingual publication of Kansas, we distribute intensives. As you know, I have interviewed you in the past and everything. And there is some extra copies for the public in case you guys are interested in reading. Okay, so I have how many more minutes?
You have 5 minutes.
I have 5 minutes. Thank you so much. Okay. Well, basically, I want to thank you very much, Gabby from the Department of Agriculture that come to take some video for me. She's an inspector, and we really appreciate her help with this program that I'm trying to put also in the future for other areas in Wichita and in Kansas. Anyway, long story short, what I'm trying to say here is that NASA put this study. I didn't put this study, okay? Blame NASA and the city of Wichita. Those are the main institutions that you can relate to what I'm going to talk about. So basically, they say that Wichita is under a climate threat for overheat exposure, especially in vulnerable areas of the city. That means it's not even. And how do they know? Actually, NASA called this a justice environmental issue. And how do they know? That sounds political, right? Who may say sounds political? Justice environmental issue. Sounds political, but it's not. What happened is that the radar can detect, from NASA, they can detect all the areas of, they can map the whole world, as you know. But when they did Wichita, they find out that the most vulnerable areas of heat exposure are in the areas of where the low-income people lives, the minorities, African Americans, the Hispanics, all these, and the reason why is because they don't have what they call the tree canopy. They don't have enough trees. They live in areas where there are industrial areas. There is a lot of concrete. What produced this heat that they detected with the radars? The concrete, the buildings. I'm not my report, okay? Once again, it's not my report. It's the report brought by experts. The experts already did it. I'm just repeating it for you guys to remember that this is important. And basically, I believe that is the most important part of me being in District 3 right now, talking about this particular subject, is that District 3 was ignored completely from the conversations when this happened 2 months ago in the media. The media report with the city of Wichita that the west part of the city, the north side of the city, and the center of the city were the more affected. And probably it's true. But I came here and I talked to you guys and I explained that last month. And then I find out, because I come back home and then I review again the report, and I saw, oh no, there is a large area in the city of Wichita, in our district, Mr. Ohio, that was ignored, and it is very well affected. So the idea that my proposal is basically to put trees on K-15, starting from MacArthur and finishing in Washington in downtown, to put more trees like this. This is like the section about Mount Vernon and Southeast Boulevard. And basically those trees that they plant, the city, I can tell you here, the gentleman from the city, those are trees already 3 years old. So immediately they're going to give you the benefit of the oxygen that we all have, that we all enjoy, that we all need in order just to move, to survive. Because as you know, oxygen is the most is the biggest and the most common element in the universe and in planet. Without that, and with us contaminating our environment, if we don't mitigate that problem, it's going to become worse for the future generations, for the babies that are coming from the families that we are seeing now having babies, right? Because hey, I'm done having babies, right? It's not, I'm probably, I hope one day I will be a grandfather, don't do that.
Marco, you got 30 seconds.
30 seconds, okay, long story short, can you put the map, please, if you don't mind? Sometimes I try to stay focused, but I get so excited with you guys here that, what is the map? I say, okay, this is the map. Can you stop? Okay. This is what I wanted to show you guys. This is the areas that were more affected, but this is one of the areas that is affected. This is one of the areas that are affected, again, in our district. It's in our district. And that's what I think that it is important to plant those trees along the areas where there are a lot of construction companies like Cornejo, like also the factories like Boeing and Spirit, because all those areas, yeah, they produce, it's excellent. We need that, but if we don't have, the trees that absorb those emissions, those contaminate the environment,
Marco?
there's going to be a problem in the future.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you. Is there any questions from the DAB? Any questions from the public?
Yes, sir.
We have a question from the DAB, sorry.
The carbon
Gary.
footprint is so prevalent in that area, you saying?
Yes, sir. Basically, what the study mentioned is that there are 17 parts of the city that are more affected.
Is that because of the concrete blacktop in that area?
Yes, is what the heat that is detected is by the buildings, the buildings that we have, the concrete that we have, the cars that we drive, everything, all that creates the heat in the city. For example, in one part of the city can be, in summer can be 100 degrees. You can have 100 degrees in summer in Wichita. Under a tree is 80 degrees or less in College Hill, in an area where there is just concrete, you can get 120 degrees, 125 degrees. And again, it's not my study, you can review it. Here is the gentleman from the city that the Parks and Recreation actually sending that information. So yes, that heat overheat. And the thing that I also want to mention is that we need to have the share of trees for District 3. I just find out that in North Side by Valley Center, they plant 700 trees in a park that is not in the area that is detected by this study of the environmental justice issue that is mentioned.
Any other questions from the DAB?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
How many trees are they planting and who's gonna take care of them?
Well, that's a city problem, okay? That's a city issue, and that's the city what they have done it for years. I don't know if you know, I don't know if you're new here, but 1,500 trees are planted a year, and 3,000 trees are taken out of the city. So we have a deficit, and that's not my numbers. Those are the numbers of Parks and Recreations. Okay, so 1,500 trees, but they say they're going to put a little more money. They're going to put a little more trees. They're going to put so we need those trees, and who's going to take care? Parks and Recreations. That's their job. They make good salaries. They have good people.
We do have a tree policy presentation happening today, so try to stick to your proposal, the trees you want
I already
planted.
did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, any questions from the public?
If I may,
Yes, sir.
I chatted with Elizabeth Bishop at ICT Trees. It's one of the local groups here. Just a few days ago, I was gonna give you a call, but then I saw you were on our agenda, so I figured I'd chat with you here. She's very interested in her group partnering and getting trees planted. Along the corridor. I think we start at 31st Street is where the city starts along the highway. And then also figuring in with, some of the work we're gonna do on K-15. That might make a good partnership. We're reviewing right now whether or not we have the capacity to help water the trees and keep them alive. So that's what we're looking at on the city's level right now. But she is very interested, and this is what we're gonna have to do to get out of that tree deficit that you're talking about, is working with partners.
Oh, I see.
We have another program that's going on where we're taking the toilet paper tubes from people's homes or whatever after you use the toilet paper and using that to raise the saplings coming out. So we're working with USD 259 on some of these as well. So I do appreciate what you're saying here, and we do have plans, and as soon as we figure it out on our end, Elizabeth Bishop, like I said, the ICT trees, there's 3 or 4 tree groups out there. This is one of the credible main ones. But they're definitely interested in partnering along the corridor and helping to plant trees.
Great.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Jerry.
What's the difference in his proposal and the city? They're not in conjunction now. His is completely separate.
His is a plan that he wants to do along the K-15 corridor, which it makes sense, because like you said, it protects or it shades the asphalt, which is one of the main sources of heat that we have around our city, asphalt and concrete in the roads. In areas that were devoid of trees, it just makes it even hotter. So it makes sense to do this project. And again, limited resources. We have increased funding for trees, but we're also having to do that where we have the capacity to plant them, to care for them. We're looking at Plainview Park as well. That's another one of the affected areas, but he'll be talking a little more later about the heat map, the NASA heat map that we have, and Marco's right, like, you look at the areas that are most affected, there's quite a bit down in District 4 as well. It's the core of Wichita, you know, it's the middle of Wichita where we're most affected, so we're gonna have to be judicious. And we're catching up, 3,000 trees a year, maybe more than that, as far as that we're pulling out. Dead trees that have gone through drought, trees that have gotten sick. We're doing emergencies first, and then we're getting to the other trees, so we're pulling those out, and we need to make sure that we replace them, because they're 80, 100-year-old trees that have served their purpose up until recently.
I'm very interested in the trees and also the species of trees we plant too, for other concerns. I'm a beekeeper, and the right trees are very beneficial. The wrong trees are less so.
I'm gonna pull point of order really fast because we are gonna hear a tree policy. So all of this conversation is great, but it's not gonna get documented and it's not gonna go where it needs to go. Because right now we're on public agenda and really the only person who should be talking is Marco.
Oh.
So Marco's time has elapsed. Thank you so much, Marco.
Okay, agenda item number 6 is off agenda items. Is there anybody that would like to speak on an off agenda item? Pardon me? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to new business, which is our Wichita.gov redesign.
If I can, before we get started, for those of you who are new, cookies in the back. Please help yourself. The only rule that comes with it, you can't throw it at the council member when you're angry. So aside from that, please help yourself to any treat we have in the back.
Henry, start first food now.
He's throwing everything. He's throwing things. We're at that stage now.
I just got that.
So I'm gonna make the awkward transition from trees, away from trees, and then you go back to it. You know, I think it would have been a little smoother, but I just want to thank Gary and Paul for letting me do their opening act. I'm Kyle Litchfield from United City Wichita Communications, and I made a mistake about 2.5 years ago. Went up to my boss and saying, our website needs to function more like Google. Someone needs to go there, type in what they want, and get what they need. And he's like, great, take it, run with it. So he put me in charge of the website redesign after lots of research and looking at our current site, user surveys, that sort of thing. It's got lots of feedback. So one of the surveys here we did with the public, one of the biggest things we saw was people wanted a better search function and they wanted the website to be configured like that. And when we went to city staff, it's pretty much the same thing. It's that search function, #1 priority. So we did a couple different options. We researched what the top cities are doing, And we came up with, did an RFP process, had Granicus and Civic Plus, two companies that do website builds for government. Where I talked to candidates, we interviewed, we ended up going with Civic Plus. And we've been working with them this whole year, and now we have this site here. Taking a little bit to load here. On the left. Okay. So when you come to the homepage, you notice it looks a little different. Front and center is going to be the search function. I will tell you right now, it's going to give me gray hair. We're hoping to launch December 7th. And the search is not quite there yet. We are working on it. Civic Plus knows about it. They have an issue with when you have the higher security system that it's that way across all their platforms. They're working on it. So we're hoping search will be 100% by December 7th. But we're doing everything we can to do that. But if you look up here, you have all these top navigation bar. You have government, so that's anything, city council, boards like this one. And you notice with these, there's little drop downs within these sub menus, so you can get a few more options. So you don't have to click as many times. You can get to where you need from the home screen. So you're not having to go ADA and then pavement striping. Departments, we couldn't quite do that because there was just so many departments, so much information. So we just put the departments out there. And then we added a tab with business. We know a lot of people are coming here to do business, to work with bids or get information about businesses. So we broke that out and got different options here, anything from licenses and permits. And then you'll notice one thing we do here is not everybody looks at the website the same way. So I might think to go to business for something like that. Somebody else might think, how do I? You know, I want a license or a permit. So we put it in multiple locations to try to anticipate different ways people are going to get information. Here's just community, some different things people might be interested. So that's just a quick navigation over the top. Over here on the left side, notice these buttons will just kind of click down through. I cannot look at the screen because it's lagging, to different sections within the home page itself, and then I can just go back up to the top. One of the cool features is if you get down into a page, this top navigation bar will always stay at the top. So if you get down into a page and that's not what I need, you can just go right up to the top navigation. And then here, we're going to have some of our frequent items that we think people are looking for. Jobs, boards and commissions, make a payment, and we can rotate those out. We'll look at the data, see what our top visited sites are, and then rotate those out as needed. And we also, one thing that's new is we have a chat bot. So people can get in here and get their questions answered. I'll scroll back up because it remembers from the last time I was on here. But this is what it will pop up. It has a few issues right here that we can say, okay, these are the common things people are asking about in the chat bot. You just click on that and get your answer right away. Or you just type in something, how do I pay my water bill? And it gives you information. You can click on a link to pay your water bill. The goal there is to relieve some of the load on our call center and their staff with the chat. If we can get them where they need to go without having to talk to somebody, that's great. Frees them up to take more calls, you know, actually in person. If not, there is an option. You can click over and go to the live chat as well. And there are some things that they can't take care of in live chat. And so rather than go over to a live chat and they tell you you have to call in, we just provide that information here. Another cool feature, I think this isn't most websites anymore, is get into a website and click on this down here. And you know, we have a pretty large Spanish speaking population here. And then you can just click on this and you can select any different language. And it changes the whole website into that language. So it's making us more accessible to a lot more communities. And then if you scroll down just a little bit, this is kind of like our news flash. What we have that banner before that just kind of scrolls images and just kind of in your face. This is a little more subtle, but we have things on our website that don't have a great place to live and they live on a certain page, but this is a great place for that to push out information. So you can click on each one of these and scroll through it. And then once you click on it, you can come in here and there would be more information in the store once we start putting that out. And then there's also, if you want to read some more of them, they'd all be listed down here. Below that, we want something someone or a lot of people have been asking us for is a calendar function. We have all sorts of events, public meetings, that sort of thing. People don't know what's going on. So we decided to put that in here. And so we have one set up, at least on the homepage for events and one for public meetings. So there's not a whole lot scheduled right now. We're still building the site. I went ahead and put in, you can see like for December, I put in all of the Botanica illuminations and some events from Cowtown. But this looks very cluttered here. So you come in and click on the calendar, looking for something specific. Maybe. And then you can filter the calendar. So I can come in here and there's all these different calendars. I can filter it. I want, what's going on there? I want District 3 advisory board meetings only. You can click on that. And I'm not sure I put that in there. So I will just say I want Wichita City Council meetings and workshops. Hit the search button. And then in my calendar, I can go to month view here. And I'll go forward to December. My apologies, I gotta go back and search. Okay, well, it's not working quite the way it should be, but I can filter it out where you can see just the meetings. And so you can filter by department, by, if you want to see just Cowtown, you want to see whatever meeting, you can filter it that. Under that, we put the mayor and the council on the homepage. A lot of people are looking, hey, who's the mayor, who are our council members? That's all right here on the homepage. And then one new thing that our team has been doing is after every council meeting, we have a council recap where they just say what kind of overview, what happened in that council meeting. So we're putting those right here on the homepage as well.
Good looking guy up there.
Yeah, who's that one right there? Is that who you're talking about?
No, not that one.
I didn't think so.
There is one.
And then below that, we have engage with us. So this is forum. Maddie, you could, or not Maddie, Becca, you could probably tell more about forum than I could. So you want to.
Just a public participation place. So where we want your feedback, we go to forum and a bunch of different projects are up there. There's also just an open place where you can put questions you have. We have staff monitoring it so they can respond. But it's also a great place for us to get your ideas. So when the downtown public library was first being talked about potentially having a new use to it, we went to forum and asked people to come in with their ideas and thoughts, and that led us to putting out an RFI for your ideas. And then getting actual proposals in. So that was the initial first step where we wanted to hear from everybody. So you don't always have to come to a public meeting or get a hold of myself or Mike to tell us what you want. You can go on forum and you also get discussions going with other members of the public who are like, ooh, I see your idea and I think you could add to it in this way and make it even better. So it's pretty cool.
This isn't new. We've had forum for quite a while, but we did get a new platform to host it as part of this website package. So that's one of the changes there, but it still functions overall the same way. And then here's something new is a facilities map. So any facility we have within the city of Wichita can be listed on this map. That everything from parks to fire stations, police stations, libraries, they are all on this map. You can click on one, just randomly click Sycamore Park, and click on it and get more information about that park. Some of them can take you directly to a page if they have more information on there, but it just tells you what features they have. And then on the search over here, let's say you just wanted to see a facility type, unselect them all. I only want to see the attractions in the area and then search. And then that narrows it down. And so I can see different attractions. So like right here, I think that'd be City Arts. So you filter through a lot of different things on here. Airports, city buildings, disc golf, dog parks, police, all that sort of stuff. You can also filter by features. So each one of the parks especially have like different skate park, sandbox, rugby field, grills, benches. If you want a park that has a certain feature, you can put in that feature and then filter it out that way as well. Thing I didn't mention is you just click on this logo and it always takes you back to the home screen. I think that was pretty much it for the home screen. Okay, a few other features that I did want to highlight. So C-Click Fix, so I don't know if, how many of you know we have Access Wichita? I don't know who knows about that. It's where you can report different issues. And it's a separate website from right now. So people have to go to Access Wichita instead of going to wichita.gov to report their issues. So we wanted to bring it all into one place. So with Civic Plus and C-Click Fix, they're all kind of one organization. We're bringing all that into one website now. And so the website for the portal for the reporting the issues is not live yet, but I do have what it would look like. So you can come in here and you can type in an address, or you can just come and set, okay, right there is where my issue is. And then something with animal control, forestry, we'll just do that since we're talking trees. And then you can type in a description of what you saw. If there's a dead tree somewhere, you can add a photo. And then that's for more. I think this is on the back end, so I don't think the public can see that. And then you would just log your request and then it sends it in. And you can sign up to get notifications if it's been updated. It's tied to our current reporting system, so as soon as they mark that complete, you'll get a notification saying that your request has been. So this website is built to be mobile friendly. So everything we build on the back end of this, it automatically adjusts so it will fit and read properly on a mobile screen. So we can't screw it up because it's built to not let us screw it up. Another cool feature we have now is users can create their own profile. So they come here, you can create an account, and what that allows you to do is sign up for notifications, and it remembers if you're filling out forms, it can remember your information, so you're not having to go in there and fill all that information out every time. So this notify me thing, you can come in here and tell it, I want notifications on calendars for every time there's an advanced plans meeting. We can set it up so 7 days, 1 day before that meeting, it'll send out a notification to everybody who signed up for it saying that meeting's coming. Same with news releases and news flash items that we can send out as well as get notifications. So improved user navigation, I think that's, hopefully we've hit the mark there with that. ADA compliant, one thing here is we wanted to make sure we're doing everything to be accessible for all different users. And so ours won't be live until the website goes live. We won't have this tool, but Emporia has it. And you can come up here and click this little icon and you can change the color, contrast, or whatever issue you might have to change the whole website to get information. One of the cool things I saw on here was this text feature. It just, for someone who's dyslexic, it weights the bottom of the text because it makes it easier for them to read. That's something I didn't know until I saw it. So, and then if you're on a public computer, as soon as you exit out of that window, it forgets all those settings. So the person coming in behind you won't see what those settings are. And then another thing up here at the top we will have access to is an alert bar. So if we have another boil water advisory or something big comes along, emergency accident reporting plans in effect, we can put alerts at the top of our screen. And then one of the biggest things, this is easier for staff to update. IT right now has to do a lot of the updates. Some staff can update the website, but some of these, like entering in documents, is just click and drag, and then they have things built into place to make sure we're ADA compliant with those. And then online forms is one of the new tools that's built into this. So that's just kind of an example of what one of the forms would look like. I already went over the calendar function and the facilities map. And something fun here that we could work in is some online poll or opinion polls. I'm a fan of dad jokes, so I just put in, like I'm the only one that's submitted. Oh, no, someone else has submitted one on there as well. So they're not scientific, but it's some way we could get another way of interaction with the public as well. So that's the down and dirty overall new website. I'm open to any questions. Yep.
You said that we would create a sign on and it would remember all of our information.
Mhm.
How secure is that sign on?
It's very secure. So we went for the higher security. And a lot of it, I say that it depends on a lot of different factors, but from our end, we got the platinum security, but I want to say there's also things that go into like your personal computer and that information as well. So I wouldn't be saving your like bank information and that sort of stuff. I don't know if those are really being asked for, but like your address, your phone number, that sort of stuff. Yes, it's secure.
Will the same login be used for the water
No, that's a separate system.
bill? Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
It's the only two I could come up with.
What comes up under the link related to starting a business?
So I think that's under that's under a page we currently have now. So yeah, this is the work with wichita.gov that our purchasing department had created a couple years ago. So there's just a lot of different options here. It's everything from tips to set up your business, things you need to know working with the city, links and resources that might help you along that. That's so. Yeah, that wasn't one that we built with this. That was already existing, but we just linked to it. We're trying to find different ways to get people that information.
I just wondered that because there's a lot of people that like to start nonprofits. It's really hard to find some place to meet that.
And there are a lot of resources. They try to go and find information from lots of different agencies, not just the city of Wichita. that we
There's a
help.
lot of resources for businesses,
Yep.
but not for nonprofits.
Yep.
Yeah, they're really hard to find. And then I guess the other question that I would have is that reporting system, report an issue.
Uh-huh.
Can you also report like a zoning violation, zoning code violation, or, and I guess with all of that, we only have, what, 1, 2 people that are responding to
Commercial.
Commercial
violations?
zoning violations, yes, there's 2 inspectors.
2?
Switch down the middle of the road.
So will this overwhelm them more than what they already are?
So as far as zoning, no, that's not part of this system yet. We don't have that. We just took the current ones we have in place. It has the potential, and that's one thing we want to look at too, is not overloading someone or, giving them too much work. So if they have the capacity on the road and they want to add that to one of our items, we could put that.
Yeah, I could see it being a struggle for somebody to figure out where they report the zoning violation.
It's mostly, I think there's forestry, there's 2 items on there. There's like street pavings, issues,
Okay.
potholes, that sort of stuff.
So not your neighbor's building onto his house and.
No,
and-
I haven't seen any of
or-
those.
Or your tree is hanging over the street.
That one is on there.
Oh, your tree
The
is
tree,
hanging.
the tree,
tree's hanging
yes,
over
that
the
would.
street?
That would be a
follow-
forestry.
Yeah.
You'll send it to Gary.
I got a violation for that one time because my tree was hanging over the street, so.
So I think you're talking about 2 different zoning issues.
Yeah.
Nuisance property issues are on there, some of them, not every single property issue you could possibly find. But a nuisance like neighborhood inspection issue, some of those are there. Zoning on the commercial side is not.
Right,
So-
right, I understand zoning's.
And
zoning's
those,
not, I just-
those are on a whole separate tool because the county, it is that county, city county. And so that's on the county's website, the MABCD reporting. But we do link to that too.
Okay. From the,
Tyler,
Yeah.
is this a change of design or a change of platform? Is
Well,
this still gonna be hosted on SharePoint?
no, it's no longer on SharePoint. We are on Civic Plus. It's a agency that's headquartered in Manhattan, Kansas. But this is what they do. They do government websites. So we're
Okay.
away from Civic Plus, and it's a whole new design.
Okay, good. I like the calendar feature. I've been after that for a long, long time. The bubble in the bottom right, is that AI only, or is there going to be an option to reach a person? Because sometimes those can be absolutely maddening.
Yeah, there is an option there. I believe if you don't get the answer you want, it can kick over to a live representative, or you can, I think you can type in representative and it'll give you the link to go to the live chat.
Okay, the other thing is related more, I guess, to how the and this is just because you're in IT, it's I don't. The council meeting minutes are currently stored on Granicus. And Granicus is a great way if you know which meeting date, right? The date of the meeting that you want to watch. It's great. You go there and you can click on any agenda item and it'll take you to that point of the video for you to watch the whole discussion and everything. So I like that a lot. The problem is that you cannot search for a topic across meeting minutes. That's a big problem in terms of access to information. I think Granicus really closes that down if they don't provide us with a way to search across council meetings. If I want to do background on a particular council person to see what they were saying about different topics, that's very difficult to do on Granicus.
Yeah,
So
something, all that's still gonna be housed in Granicus for now. But it's definitely something we're looking at, because we've heard that people want the minutes, just the way it's set up with our voting system and the tablets we have and all of that. It would have been too much to take that on along with this project. But that's definitely something we're looking at as we move forward.
okay, cool.
Any other
Thanks.
questions? Any questions from the public? Paul?
As you know, I sent you a message tonight going, the city's website sucks. Are we really having a meeting tonight? I mean, I can't find it. Of course, there's a big rate thing comes on there and covers up the ellipsis, so maybe that was where it was. I found out later. So now I get down and I go to the meetings and they're in reverse chronological order. Why should I have to scroll to the bottom for the most recent information? Doesn't make sense. And then whatever you're talking about, the reporting, is that going to be the same as Wichita reports?
No, it's replacing the Access Wichita.
Oh, good, another icon I can get rid of.
And that's one thing I didn't mention is this does come with an app, that reporting tool. So there will be an app out there that people can download and then just say, hey, where I'm at right now, right, the issue, you can just say, mark where I'm at. You might look for an address.
And further to your comment, you know, I've been on DABs and CPOs off and on for a long time. I'm sure many of us remember Randy Sparkman. He was kind of over the commercial inspectors. Ran into him at a restaurant one time. My wife and his wife were there. Made a comment. He just looked at me right there in public. He says, I don't need you to find me to work. I got plenty of work to do. I said, well, thank you for your concern. Well, sometimes that's how it goes,
Thank you, Paul.
unfortunately.
Any other questions from the public? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's discuss some trees.
My name is Gary Ferris. I'm the city arborist. I don't have control of the.
No, you're gonna tell me when you do. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to get our Zoom shared.
We like to give Becca total control.
Actually, we just, somebody stole the other half of our DAB clicker, so.
Oh,
Of course, that plugs into the computer, so.
You can order a new one on Amazon. So.
Yeah, when I remember it,
$6.
that'll happen.
Well, thank you for letting me be here today and talk about the proposed tree policy. A lot of the principles that are addressed in the tree policy itself are already in some degree we're already doing as an organization. What this policy does is it gives a written guide to the organization as a whole on ways to approach tree canopy preservation with purpose-driven decision-making. So this policy is applies specifically to public projects and is intended to convey the appropriate value that on the infrastructure that is the tree canopy. Go ahead. So the NASA Well, the policy does recognize and integrate information that was provided in the NASA developed study that was mentioned earlier. And that study does identify multiple heat islands within the city. As mentioned earlier, environmental justice and climate change do take center stage in that study. With that information, we can effectively target areas that lack canopy and are disproportionately affected by temperature. The policy provides a guidance for forestry and CIP projects where tree removal and placement are going to occur. And it dictates a greater public engagement effort to increase communication with citizens and stakeholders. Next one. The NASA study utilized multiple data points, including but not limited to surface air temperatures, tree canopy cover, and demographic data to identify the 17 tracks that are depicted in the map. You saw that map earlier with Marco. And the numbers that are on that map, there's 59, a 40, a 52. Those numbers mean nothing to our project. There are 17 identified heat islands that are shaded in that pink, orange, darker colored area. So as we discussed earlier, it's kind of the core central area of the city. The implementation plan for forestry initiative attached to the policy is places a priority on planting trees in the street rights of way within these areas, in these urban heat islands. We have a contracted tree planting project that will begin this fall, winter. This is a project that was initiated in 2022, the end of 2022, and is being implemented starting now. And that project will take place in one of the identified census tracts. This project that I'm talking about will provide just less than 700, no, it's 1,382 trees, I believe. Can't remember the exact number. I've got too many tree projects in my mind. But a lot of trees for this area that is in one of the census tracts. And that project, along with future projects where we are going to be targeting these census tracts for tree canopy, will be a part of media information, including social media, district advisory board meetings, and all of that is to promote public engagement. Efforts to improve the canopy cover throughout the city, especially within these heat island tracks that we've identified or have been identified, are a long-term investment into the community. The EPA identifies that tree canopy and increasing tree canopy is the most significant thing that we can do to impact heat islands and to reduce the negative effects of those heat islands. And implementation of this policy is a long-term situation. It could take anywhere from 30 to 50 years to really be able to measure the effectiveness of what we initiate today. But we're in it for the long haul. We are in this community to improve it, not just today, but for the 30 to 50 years and on into the future. So we'll have to develop metrics to measure the effectiveness of this policy, but it's not a measure that we can act today and measure in a year. So we have to really trust what we know about tree planting and the science behind all of that and put that into practice in our community. With that, I will turn it over to Paul for discussing capital projects with us.
Thank you, Gary. So when we design capital improvement projects, we'll retain and protect as many trees as possible within the scope of the project. As we do now, we will continue to have a city landscape architect or designer on the design team. And we will engage our city forestry experts as well as we go through the design. The policy establishes criteria for impact to trees based on number and or size. And significance of a project impact to the tree canopy will be evaluated on a project by project basis. Public engagement, as Gary mentioned, will be completed throughout the project development. He mentioned social media, direct contact with property owners, district advisory board, and the city website. Our current practice has been going to the district advisory boards. This is a project out west, but we've done similar projects that we've presented here at the concept stage. So we would continue to do that. However, we will add another step in the process when the plans are 50 to 80% complete. That way we will know at that time more impacts, if there are any, to trees. And for example, of this project, you can see we're moving the sidewalk closer to the street, keeping, the existing trees. What we don't know at this time is some of the trees along that north side. Once we get the multi-use path in, if we need a retaining wall, if there's grade change that we might need a retaining wall, that might impact the trees. We don't know that at this time. So when we come back, when plans are 50 to 80% complete, we'll know that, and then we can present those tree impacts to the district advisory board and any property owners that may come to that. With our projects, we do invite all the adjacent property owners when we will present that project to the district advisory board. Go on to the next slide, please. So this is another example of a project plan sheet. I know it might be kind of hard to see that there were quite a few trees removed with the project. However, there was trees that were also saved with the project by moving the sidewalk and not going straight through it. The next slide, please. And I kind of mentioned this before. Efforts will be made to protect existing trees to remain within the project boundaries. We will be working with forestry and park staff to come up with a detail that would not only protect the tree trunk with maybe a snow fence or something, but also the root zone of the tree, so it would extend out beyond that. Trees to be placed on capital improvement projects will follow the guidelines that we have set forth in the existing landscape policy for city streets, with a tree planting plan developed for each project. That plan takes into consideration above and below ground utilities, similar to what maybe you talked about with tree species on projects. We don't want the taller trees growing into the Evergy power lines. We would come up with a shorter variety of trees so that they don't grow into that. We will take into consideration traffic signals and or pedestrian signals so that tree canopy as it grows will not block the vision of those. And of course, driveways, sidewalks, and the other stuff like that. So if space is not available to accommodate the project plan, the city will make every attempt to plant trees in the project area or within close proximity. And that is within a quarter mile of the project to begin with. And then planting would occur in the nearest vulnerable census tract identified by the massive map. Next slide, please. Again, this is another one. We have been doing a lot of this already on in the past. Again, you can see where the trees were salvaged, and then there was space to put new trees in with the darker circles. So we have to do that on previous projects. And then I think there's one more slide back there. This was talked about earlier with Tyler. The City of Wichita Communications team has created a on the forum, a project on the forum that includes a tree policy and as well as the park board presentation. So Gary and I have made a presentation to the city council at a workshop. We've been to the sustainability integration board and then to the park board, and we are now presenting to all the district advisors during the next few weeks. And then we'll ultimately go back to city council with any comments that we have received throughout meetings. So the link as well as a QR code there, linking you to the forum. And with that, I would answer any questions you might have. As long as they're easy, if they're hard, Gary gets the answer.
Questions from the dad.
Yeah, will there be a special emphasis on using trees that are native to Wichita? And a second question is, I've noticed that some of the pine trees are starting to give way to blight, and I'm wondering why or if the city has implemented a way of interrupting the flow of those by removing trees that are susceptible.
So I will, part of that question, but Gary is more, you'll know more about it, but there is within the tree policy, I believe there is a list of trees that are recommended that could be planted. So we would follow that. Again, as our consultant develops the plans, we would work with the landscape architect and our forestry department to make sure those are the right species for that project. And then if Gary can add any more information to that and talk about the pine trees.
I think that pretty well answers the question about species. But the question about the pines is there is no interruption of the flow of the pathogen that is causing all the pines to die. We could go in and remove every single pine tree on city property today. Not that we have the staff to do that, but if we did, if we could snap our fingers and make that happen, you're still going to have the flow of those pathogens throughout the city because there are pines on private property more than there are on public property. So while we do see taking dead pine trees out as a need, it is not currently the highest thing on our priority list. So public safety has a lot bigger priority, a lot higher priority, and we're dealing with a lot more issues that deal directly with public safety than typically a dead pine, unless there's something specific about the dead pine that makes it a public safety hazard.
Okay, thanks.
Gary.
How do we address the trees such as on Harry where tree services come in and literally butcher them all, and then within a year or two they're dead? There's a whole row of hair the oak trees all down from Harry to Oliver, all the way down to Governor, I believe. They're just destroyed. Because Asplats came in to clear the lines, there's major power lines down through there. It cost me $1,500 to have one removed, so it didn't fall in my house.
Are these trees on city right away or are they on private property?
I'm not sure. They're right along.
I think they're on the right of way.
Area
I think
right
they're on the right of way, Jerry. They're like right along Harry by Clapp, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And brand new sidewalk down through there too, and that's all a big issue down there. They're all just slowly dying away. Hilltop Manor's removed, I think, 6 or 8 of them. And it's been an ongoing process.
Yeah, Evergy is going to take care of their lines. There's nothing that we can do about that. They have the legal right to do that, and they should. You know, we need electrical distribution, right? That is a prime example of the wrong tree in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And you can ask what happened in the past, you know, which came first, the tree or the lines? I don't know. Probably the tree, but they still put the lines there.
Right.
You know, so what can we do about how they manage their lines? Not a lot.
Right.
What can we do about the dead trees? If it's private property, the private property owner takes it out. If it's on the street right away, the city takes it out. And then you get into a replacement situation where you want to put the right tree in the right place. So in that location, you wouldn't plant a giant, well, what would become a giant pinna. Because the exact same thing would happen.
Replaced the sidewalk 3 different times. The sidewalk used to curve around them and this and that. Now it's real nice 4-foot long sidewalk down through there, but the trees are slowly going away.
I will, I'll add to what Gary said a little bit, and I'm glad you brought it up. We meet with the utilities each month if we have a project. A capital improvement project or anything, because sometimes they have to move out of the way. Later this month, there is a ULCC meeting, Utility Locating Coordinating Committee meeting, that I will be inviting the utility companies to make sure they have the appropriate personnel there to discuss this policy with them as well. And again, we just had a meeting with Kansas Gas. Sometimes they try to relocate their lines, they know about the trees as well. But if a tree needs to be removed, or, if they are requesting it, we'll engage Gary folks and say, is it a healthy tree? Is it not healthy? Can it be removed? We'll try to work around it, but again, part of this policy is to improve our engagement and notify owners that a tree might be being removed. So we will engage utilities as well, but as Gary said, they will hear this policy as well. So.
Any other questions from the dad? Yes, Geneva.
Would the property owner have any input into what you plan to do in front of their house, or is that not up to them?
I think that maybe, Gary, I'll jump in first. I don't know if like that concept we showed earlier with the, if it's a capital improvement project, arterial street, I think we would show what trees are proposed to go planted back there. So we might be able to take a little bit of comments or questions regarding that at that time, possibly. We just don't know it on concept stage, but that might be part of the benefit of coming back another time when plans are further developed, and that would show the property owner as well. Trees that would be planted in the right of way, maybe in front of their house, but it would be within the right of way.
But the homeowner would not be able to say, no, I don't want that happening.
I think that could be it could be a possibility, and then that tree would just be placed elsewhere, to meet, if it was supposed to go on that project, then that would be elsewhere in one of these other census tracts would be my answer at this time.
Well, and I'm asking because in the area that I live, several years ago, the city did come in and plant trees, but the homeowners could say yay or nay, and some of them just did not want them, and they didn't plant them. So.
That is not a capital improvement project. That was a project initiated by forestry. And that is how we operate within a neighborhood. When we go to plant a whole neighborhood, we do give the option of opting out, because when we do that, we're asking the neighbors, the homeowners, to partner with us and water those trees. So if somebody doesn't want the tree, that's a waste, because they're not going to water it. That thing's going to die. So we don't want to. One, we don't want to be a bad neighbor, and two, we don't want to waste our resources. So that's how we operate when we go in to plant a full neighborhood. Now, our resources have been limited to the point now that we don't do that very much, but we're trying to get back to that point where we are able to go in and plant neighborhoods and really reforest areas like that, especially these census tract areas that have been identified in these heat items.
But the trees that they planted required almost no maintenance at all. I mean, it was, I couldn't imagine anybody declining to have a tree, but there were several that did. And, and their property looks bare compared to the property owners that opted to have it, so.
Any other questions from the dad?
Yes.
Mr. Luke.
Okay, do you work with the Arbor Foundation at all in any preparations and this decision making?
I'm going to say that I have, in some of my research that I've done for various different projects, that I have used some of their findings to help make decisions. As far as using them as a consultant, haven't ever done that. That's not really their role. But, you know, they,
They've been in the tree business for years.
oh, yeah, yeah, they have a lot of knowledge stored, and I use their data bank to search things out for sure.
My biggest concern after reading this over is, I said I wasn't gonna bring this up, but I will. I drive by that park daily, and there was two beautiful trees. They were bushy, they were close together, but they were a great habitat for animals. I drive by one day and they're gone. And then the trunks are ground out and it's all covered up. What I wanna know, and I couldn't find it here, is if you decide you need to eliminate a tree, who makes the decision? City manager, the department head, the forestry, the landscaping? How do you decide when and if a tree needs to go?
So you kind of hit the hierarchy right there. City manager, the department director, and then the department director's staff. And by ordinance, the department director can assign that authority to their staff. I am that staff. I have the authority then to hire and manage tree inspectors who are knowledgeable about trees and public safety and all of the things that go on to make a safe community and a better community. And they go out, do the inspection. Most of the time, it's based on a request. Not all the time, but most of the time our inspections are based on request. And we go out, we do the inspection, we look at the situation, make a judgment call based on our experience and certifications, and then we write a work order for the action. Then that work order is executed at some point in the future. If it's an emergency, it's executed sometimes right now today. If it is a higher priority, it's executed in the next 2 to 3 weeks. If it is a routine operation, it goes on our list of things to do. And that list is about 2+ years long right now.
Well, these two trees were beautifully green and they weren't dying, but they were gone.
Well, and it may not be that the city removed them. There are possibilities that exist that the city's crew did not do that work. I'm not saying who did or didn't in this particular case.
It's in
But-
Platt Park, so I don't know.
Well, I'm,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that happen out in the public sphere. that
I was
we're not
involved in
control
a
of.
project about 40 years ago in Salina with a group in the city, and we needed shade in a certain area. And we planted 2 sycamores about 50 feet apart, an oak in between them, and a lot of poplar trees. Now, poplar trees are not popular anymore because they're so bugged. The bugs love them, but every time I went back to Salina, the poplar trees provided shade while the sycamores and the maples grew. But now you go back and all the trees are gone except for the oak that we start, because we gave it 40 years to grow and still had shade. Is that a working project? I mean, do you try and figure out trees that will maybe grow for 10 or 15 years and die, but they provide instant shade because they're fast?
We test different varieties all the time. We don't use a majority of our budget to test different trees, right? We use a smaller portion of our allotted resources to test new species or test, not new species, but maybe new to our planting operation, because having a diverse tree canopy is a significant priority. Okay, and we do not want to have the monoculture that they had back in the 60s and 70s, where all the American elms were 80% of what covered the street trees, right? So we know what happens with that. So we don't want to go back there. So we test new species all the time, every year. But one of the reasons why we wouldn't, on a large scale, plant, say, the black poplar that, you know, grows really, really super fast and, you know, it's almost instantaneous gratification, because they do live for 8, 10, 15 years, and then they all die all at once. Well, we're just creating negative workforce, right? If we're creating that, then we're not able to do the other stuff that we need to be doing. So that doesn't jive well with our mission right now.
I have one last question. Did you ever go to Cypress Park on, is it Woodlawn or is it Edmore? Edmore. And I have a neighbor that has a cypress tree, and I think he goes to Arizona to get away from it because it's so bad when it sheds. I don't. Wow, I'm surprised it's on the list because it's a beautiful tree when it's green, and it is a monster when it drops its leaves and
Are you wondering why bald cypress is on the list?
yeah. I mean, you ever drive that park through the fall and winter, it looks like it's gold and matte from all the, because you guys haven't got time to pick up the stuff that's probably smothering out the grass because they're a beautiful tree.
Yeah.
They're not what I call very productive at the end of their life.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we plant them is that they don't come to the end of their life very often. They are a very long-lived tree that can tolerate some of the really.
What's your feeling about mulberries?
The male ones are great.
Yeah, how do you tell a male? How do you tell a male?
It doesn't have fruit.
Yeah, but how do you tell it when it's a seed sapling?
Wait 15 years.
You gotta wait, you have to wait, and if you're wrong.
So do we have any questions from the public?
I wanna know how you tell them, no, I didn't get that, it doesn't have what?
Fruit. Doesn't have mulberries on it.
Well, I never give them a chance to tell me that, those are, you're gone.
Yes.
Are Bradford pears like one of your wonderful, we love these, let's put them everywhere species?
It was at one time, it's not today.
And are they friendly to your bees?
They're invasive species, they're not friendly to my bees.
Okay.
Bees will attack them, it looks like peach trees and all that, but they take over.
It's just, they're beautiful for a week a year, and from then on, they're garbage.
And while they're beautiful, don't smell them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jerry, what's your background? Where'd you go to school?
Oklahoma State,
Oh.
my undergrad, and then Kent State for my master's.
Good for you.
We'll get another question from the public.
Oh, sorry.
Who helps you do your study on the trees, and where do you get your trees at?
When we purchase trees, for our bulb and burlap trees, we go out for bid. So local vendors, local nurseries bid on those, projects, those supply projects. So, we have a restriction where the trees have to be grown within 200 miles of Wichita, so that the trees are acclimated to this, climate.
So you don't use WSU anymore? We did back in the '70s. Trees, plants, flowers, bushes.
From a production standpoint,
Yeah.
no, we don't.
grow.
And if they still produce, I'm interested in talking to whoever is in charge of that.
Well, might be something to check on because they're grown right here.
Yeah.
And if they're gonna survive, it's
Yeah.
between the cottonwoods, the elm and evergreens. Kansas really didn't have too many trees,
That's correct.
so.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, thank you so much for leaving us with all that information. All right, we're gonna move forward to the last agenda item, updates, issues, and reports. So there he is.
Thank you, Sadie, I appreciate it. Y'all will be glad to know Paul recently told me that dab 3 is his favorite dab. He says it all the time. Those words came out of his mouth. I don't know, he says that for years, just to appeal to me, but I appreciate it. The few things, one, we did talk a little bit earlier about how much retail theft there is in Wichita. We are one of the prime locations for this going on in the nation. Chief Sullivan is very aware of this. They talked about some things that they had done earlier, saving a couple of thousand and just getting the message out. He plans on continuing to work with Some of our retail sources like Walmart, like, Victoria's Secret, that was one of the main ones that we cracked down on here recently. Yeah, who put in for that one, right? But they're gonna continue doing this and cracking down and just making sure that people know this is not tolerated here. We don't have the resources right now to commit fully to big operations, but we are going to be doing smaller sting operations at a lot of these locations here in the next couple of months and probably a couple of years until we start seeing some results. Along that note, we are still in negotiations with the fraternity of police about some of the things with the contract, raising the salaries for police officers, some things along longevity, bonus pay, also things that we want on our end from the city. I can't get too much into the details here, but we are still in negotiations with them, so I'm pleased that we're moving along in that direction. I know a lot of people have seen this recently. The ballpark TIF, there's talk going on about the next step forward in regards to the ballpark and carving out maybe a separate TIF. There's going to be an open house. It's tentative right now, so I'll give you the date and the time and the location, but just be aware that that might change at some point. That would be 4 o'clock on the 13th of November, that Monday, at the Ball Stadium. And we will have an open house to where people can come down, ask questions. We're gonna have a presentation and then you can go and you can talk to our director of finance. You can talk to our assistant city manager who's been plugged into this. I can't say where I'm at on it. I do have a lot of questions and concerns. It's something we have to look at and seriously consider, because if we don't get development in there here soon to start paying off the STAR bond, we're going to be paying for it out of our general fund. This is something that began years ago, and to me, it's like you come across this big bundle of knot, just where your kid tied up the fishing line. We're just trying to unthread the knot right now and make us that way we're not on the hook for, paying for the ballpark here in a couple of years when the STAR bond, how we're floating the STAR bond currently is no longer an option. So, yep.
So in a nutshell, the development that was supposed to grow out of the ballpark would create revenue, and that's where the money would come from. It would go, part of it would go to the city, and that would pay off the stadium.
Yeah.
So because there's been no development other than the ballpark, there's no revenue coming in. Is that simplest form?
That's about it, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And so, yeah, that's the concern. That's what we're trying to focus on right now, is getting the development going. We took a big hit when Lou passed.
Thank you.
That was the thing. He came in, he had these ideas, he had his promises. He was sticking to them. He really was, and from what I come to understand about the guy, he had every intention of following through. The group that took over after Lou passed, there were some issues there. And that's where we're at today. So we actually negotiated a deal to take the ownership from that group to another group. And that's where this discussion has come. So again, the 13th of November at 4 o'clock out at the Ball Stadium is when the open house is. Pay attention, because again, the dates may change, but I fully encourage you, especially if you have questions, to come out, talk with staffs, talk with people, understand the scope, and then reach out to me and let me know how you feel about it. I just love to hear your guys' opinions and thoughts. So please pay attention to that. And even if you don't make it out, go ahead and shoot me an email. Let me know how you feel about it. That's perfectly fine. This Saturday, Becca might be better with the location, but at 9 o'clock, we are partnering with, in the morning, District 4 and doing a cleanup on 47th and Broadway. Okay, do we have a meeting location yet? Okay, well, we'll put that out there too. Along 47th and Broadway, we're gonna have a small forum and discussion about things going on in South Wichita. And then we are going to a
There's several little neighborhoods right behind the Dillons and the Dollar General over there. That are not a formal neighborhood and they haven't had a cleanup in many, many years. So we're gonna do a small cleanup with them after we do a short form. We think Dollar General will be the meeting spot, but I have to go harass them tomorrow.
Is it basically between there and the railroad tracks, or is it going over to Palisade?
Brooke is in charge of the map, so I don't have the full
Okay,
thing.
no problem.
But it's,
Fine. Just curious.
yeah, it's the neighborhood directly west of
Yeah.
Dillons and then north of Dillons. So I'd have to look.
So yeah, if you guys are looking for something to do and get some exercise early Saturday morning,
Yeah.
I'll be out there, so everybody come on out and have a good time. My family and I had the pleasure of going to a number of the candy crawls and trunk or treats. Hilltop has, well, I love going down the Hilltop every time you guys have a festival or Cinco de Mayo or the Easter egg hunt. It's a lot of fun. We also went to the one at Clap Park, ton of kids out there. So I hope everybody had a safe Halloween. And those turds you made off with my candy bucket last night. Whatever, I was a turd when I was young, so I guess it's a payback there. Two last notes, next Tuesday. Get out and vote. You know, regardless of who you're voting for, please get out. This is democracy in action. This is you taking back your city. This is you having your influence heard and felt. So please get out there and just let democracy happen.
And don't wait till Tuesday. You can vote anywhere, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You don't have to go to your regular polling place. You can vote anywhere.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, Geneva
Be
does.
there.
Geneva's our resident poll worker over here. She's done a lot of great work over the years, so very informative on that one. Appreciate that. The last thing, December 9th, save the date. That's when we are doing our Christmas tree lighting. And I haven't said anything yet, but our very own Mike Luke has the invitation to play Santa for the city of Wichita this year. He and his wife, they've been volunteering at Botanica and various other places for years and years and years, and they have their own outfits of Mr. and Mrs. Claus, and I can't think of anybody better to do it, so.
Keep me posted. Actually, you probably need to email Sherry.
I know where the power and the relationship lies. Mike,
Yeah,
don't
she
worry.
keeps track of all
This will be at Botanica?
Huh?
At Botanica?
No, it'll be at NAFTA Park, I believe.
Oh.
So yeah, we light it off out there and the kids all get to go and visit Santa Claus and sit on his lap. So you have fun with that, Mike.
I do.
Yeah, he does it every year. So with that, I'm open for any questions or comments or anything that people might.
Where's After Park? You better.
It's on this side of the Union Station,
Oh, down, okay.
It's downtown.
where the Men's Social Service Center used to be.
Yeah.
The District 4 cleanup on Saturday. What time is that?
9 o'clock.
9 a.m. Thank you.
Yep.
Also, Win is actively reaching out to neighborhood associations and meeting with them to help get them back up and functioning again. So when you hear about neighborhood associations or individuals that are lamenting the passing of one or wanting one to form, reach out to myself or Cindy, or you can email win@winwichita.org.
Appreciate that plug, Rich.
So I have a couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Seen a lot of talk about the library. Have any updates on the old library?
That the plan that's floated out there, the art museum, they're looking at it. There's some details to it. They would like to put another story on top. That's where the big chunk of the 100 million that they're talking about. There's some work to do to it. I'm casually supportive of it. We have to figure out how to pay for it. How does the private sector work in with it? There's some issues as well. You can't have the windows with the art, so there would have to be improvements to the building as well. So we're looking at that and how that figures into the broader, East Bank plans. That's gonna be coming out next year.
So the city's considering putting 100 million into that?
We're gonna have discussions. I don't see necessarily where the city has 100 million to put into it, but we're having discussions about the proper funding.
I guess what intrigues me about that is that in all the things that I've seen regarding proposals for that building, I've not seen any input that the city would be willing to put money into whatever proposal for whatever goes on in that building. So that concerns me a lot, that one particular proposal might come with a lot of funding from the city when I'm sure that other people that have put in proposals didn't feel like that could come with city money, because everything that I mean, I was gonna put in a couple of proposals, but didn't, because when I saw the cost of all the things that needed to be done, so that's really concerning to me, because there's things like, I'd love to see us have a downtown market like Boston Market or the Seattle Market, which I think would draw a lot of tourism. I mean, if you're gonna sink 100 million into it.
I can appreciate that. Yeah, the original RFP for the building, like you said, it was, you have to help improve it, you have to work on it as well. This ties a little more, could potentially tie a little more into the Bob Brown improvements and the Century 2 improvements. We had in the proposal last year, or the plan that we're going to discuss in the future, there were improvements to the library too. It was going to be an event center, and that's how it figured into the whole Century 2 improvements. So that's kind of the tie-in that we're potentially looking at, is this match with something that we're looking at with the Century 2 improvements.
Okay. So I'm just gonna express I'm expressing my concern,
No,
because, you know, I had an interest in putting in a proposal for the fire station down there that I was told, well, the city would never consider, because that is the destination place. But Bruce Rowley ended up buying that, and it was turned into a co-working space and a little coffee shop. And I don't know how that's a destination venue more than what I would have proposed would have been. So
I can appreciate that.
I see that sometimes priority is given to certain people in this community and or certain organizations and or certain developers. So that's a huge concern of mine. I'm just gonna express that publicly.
Yeah.
The other thing is, do we have any updates on what's going on with the Healthy Corner Store initiative?
Let me think. This is, we have so many things going on right now. We're putting it back out for RFP. We went through a process once, didn't find anything acceptable, so we're looking at another RFP here soon to give it a second chance, and just better define what we're looking for.
Do you expect that when the RFP is put out, that maybe there's some changes to the requirements in?
I think we're looking at that. I haven't been updated on that here recently, but we are looking at that, redefining, making sure that it's a citywide program. I can't get too far into, I can't really say at all what some of the issues were with the people who presented earlier, but we are looking at redefining some aspects of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I
Sorry,
have,
Jessica.
no, that's all right. I just was curious, I noticed this last month and then was gonna ask today, is there a reason we don't get staff reports from Parks and Rec? District 1 did.
Yeah, so District 1 has multiple recreation centers, or did. And that is why they get an actual update.
Okay.
It's something we can request. We didn't previously have one. It's on the recreation center directors to do it. And so that's why districts that have more than one tend to be the districts that have them, because they rotate that responsibility. But yeah, we can absolutely ask for them.
Maybe just do it quarterly, so that way we don't put too much strain on them.
I think along those same lines, I really would like to hear from other people that represent District 3 on the Animal Advisory Board or any of a number of boards that we don't ever know what's going on. So we spend a lot of time researching, I guess.
Right.
We don't really know what's going on those different boards. It'd be great to have somebody come to from each different
I
board.
think we had a gentleman here last time who brought up the same issues. We are working on that, maybe doing a once a year retreat or breakfast where we have people come and give updates and let them know. And also, city staff has been looking at doing a citywide to where you have the place on the website where you can go and get just a brief description of things that are on the agenda coming. Yes, sir.
Back to the old library, with that being Frank Lloyd Wright influenced at the least, is it not on the historic register like Century 2 is?
I don't believe so.
I think it'd be kind of a shame to put another story on top unless somebody was real diligent to make it match. You know?
But there's a, I wouldn't call it a fad, there's a movement going on where that's what they do, they add on to like older buildings and it looks all distinct, and so, you know, here's the art talent I have right here is this much, so if an artist is looking at it and saying, oh, this is great,
okay,
you know, I can't dispute it anyways.
I got you.
KU School of Medicine, the
I'm sorry?
KU School of Medicine, Pharmacy School, they added on a roof on the old building.
How's that up at Ninth and?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and you can't tell they added it.
Yeah, but it wasn't a really special piece of architecture to begin with, was it?
No, but it was old, it was from the 1800s.
Oh, okay,
So.
and I'm on the wrong building.
Yeah, I work in it, so I know how old it is.
I was thinking the one closest to like, or the
Yeah,
canal route.
it is that old.
Okay, I used to go to meetings up there all the time.
Yeah.
But for what it's worth, I'm not really on the airport board anymore, but I can tell you passenger count is way up. Rental car business is up, parking revenues are up, and they broke ground for the new hotel.
Yeah, and we have direct flights to DC.
Yep.
Talking about a couple of others coming
Yes.
in. Yeah, so a lot of good things happening down there.
Marco's on the board, but he didn't mention it.
You're busy with trees.
I know.
They say,
Don't have any trees at the airport, by the way.
There we go.
Not on the airport.
So I just like to mention, as the question was asked earlier about putting Narcan on pot. I'm just gonna say
Or fentanyl.
not Narcan, fentanyl. I was gonna talk,
Yeah, Narcan would be good.
you know, I do keep Narcan there at the Urban League. If anybody ever wants to, you know, stock a Narcan to keep her, I think it's important that we get Narcan.
They're gonna have vending machines.
Yeah, so that's getting ready to say,
I
vending
think it-
machines with Narcan and test strips.
I think it's important that we
Yeah.
we get that distributed. So it's fentanyl is a very scary thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I called it.
Oh, no, that's scary
Yeah,
as me.
it is extremely scary stuff. So
Yeah, we've been partnering with Safe Streets to get the Narcan giveaways over
Yeah.
the last couple of months. Some really, I can't say really good results because that means that we had to use it, but it has been
Right.
used. So, and it's definitely something, you know, you believe in the salvation of people.
yes,
And so you want to give them every chance you can to save themselves, to redo what they're doing and work, you know, figure their lot in life out. So, yeah, we're gonna keep pushing forward on that every way that we can.
anybody else have anything else? Any other announcements? Okay, if not, hold on.
Your 2024 meeting calendar is out. I gave all your DAB members had one at your packet. There's ones up with the agendas for the public if anyone wants them. So that's all of our DAB meetings and our district breakfast for 2024. In
Great.
addition, DAB members, you can put a hold on your calendars for Saturday, March 30th from noon to 3. They're tentatively scheduling a training, and instead of trying to coordinate everybody's schedule, I'm just gonna tell you 5 months in advance that we're doing it on this day. So I'll send it in an email as well tomorrow. What?
I'm gonna be out of town.
On purpose.
That's my boyfriend's birthday, so, you know, it's iffy.
You can come,
Oh, no.
bring him along.
We'll sing to
We'll
them.
serve some cake.
Oh, no, it's gonna stay at home and work on meetings.
Okay.
right.
So Saturday, March 30th,
Oh, pretty good.
noon to 3.
I would announce that every.
I will continue to say it every meeting. I will send it in an email. I will send you a calendar invite for those of you who like to have your stuff in your calendar. But first notice right now. There you go.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, if nothing else, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Okay, I have a motion by Mike and a second by Jesse. All in favor, say aye.
Got a name in the big.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you for coming.